can't catch me on the run, cause I'm gone, yeah. I blaze trails, set fire to what's behind me. No, I'm never looking back, I'm on the run. I could only ever be what I'm made to be. Feels good when I'm living on the edge. Watch me now, go like thunder, gonna shake the ground. Can't stop me now, I don't give up and I won't back down. I'm a force of nature, can't be contained. I got lightning running all through my veins. Watch me now, watch me now.
Hi, I'm Wyatt Milam. I'm from Canova, West Virginia. When I'm back home, you'll find me at my local Parmar store.
We have that gold and blue pride at your local Parmar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Parmar app and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Parmar stores.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
And yes, hello and welcome on this fine, terrific Tuesday, July 25th. This is the WolfMan's Call. And there you have Penn State right there, Michigan. It's getting ready. It's getting on. Every day is closer to August, then into September. And the days keep going, winding on down. Every repetition, physically, mentally, everything counts right now because that's what is necessary. That's the time of the season. Everything has got to be getting ready for the Mountaineers. They head to Happy Valley to deal with one of the toughest teams this year. Biggest challenges that they have. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see what this team can do. I've been hearing some good things from some of the players. I want to see what they can do overall. And that's, I'm telling you, let's do it. If you're going to do it, do it. Don't talk about it. Just do it. Save the talking for me because I got a lot of hot air. Got a lot of yapping going on. But we got big things today. Terrific Tuesday. We're going to have Frank Fear talking about Cincinnati. He's got some good stuff. We got Alan Johnson here, USA Strength and Conditioning Hall of Fame and former Mountaineer Strength and Conditioning coach at Oreos and everything else and the CSCAA, whatever. He's in there. He's the guru of college strength and conditioning. And, of course, we got WVU Hoops, Darryl Prue. We think we have him. He's in Ocean City right now. Not sure what's going on with that connection. We will find out soon enough. But before I get into it, boy, we've had a big week when it comes down to, you know what, the WolfMan's Call Network. We have 4 new groups this week. It is unbelievable. And I'm just going to have to go ahead and play this for you. And I've worked a lot of time on this because I think it's so cool. It's got the crew in there. It has DP in there, Darryl Prue. It's got Al Johnson. It's got Frank Fear. It's got the man named Reno. It's got the Hawkeye. It's got the Z Girl. It's got all of the WolfMan's Call Network, man. And I am fired up and so happy that we got Archies up in Pittsburgh. Just joined us up there on East Carson Street, right in the enemy territory, man. That's so cool. Mike Manning up there. Thanks, brother. We appreciate you. And, of course, Jerry Lorenz here at Kegler's. Kegler's has always been the local Mountaineer team right here in Morgantown. There's no doubt about it. You got Kegler's. And then, of course, we got Jimbo's place, brand new out of Elkins, right up there in the mountain. And then in Buchanan as well. He's just opening up that. So let's talk about that. And let's roll it and see what we got here because I think this is pretty darn cool.
wants to tame me. You can't catch me on the run, cause I'm gone, yeah. I blaze trails, set fire to what's behind me. No, I'm never looking back, I'm on the run. I could only ever be what I'm made to be. Feels good when I'm living on the edge. Watch me now, roll like thunder, gonna shake the ground. Can't stop me now, I don't give up and I won't back down. I'm a force of nature, can't be contained. I got lightning running all through my veins. Watch me now, watch me now. I come alive when I'm in the face of danger. Bring the pressure, but I'm gonna rise above, yeah. Bet the house and I'll take that wager. They say you know a legend when you see one. Watch me now, I roll like thunder, gonna shake the ground. Can't stop me now, I don't give up and I won't back down. I'm a force of nature, can't be contained. I got lightning running all through my veins. Watch me now, watch me now. Where there's a will, there's a way. I won't quit, I'm here to stay. Where there's a will, there's a way. Won't quit, I'm here to stay. Yeah. Watch me now, roll like thunder, gonna shake the ground. Can't stop me now, I don't give up and I won't back down. I'm a force of nature, can't be contained. I got lightning running all through my veins. Watch me now, watch me now. Hey! Oh, you know I don't give up.
The Wolfman's Call. Boom! Oh, yeah, boy, was that cool. And I can't tell you how much I love the network. Everybody has been so supportive out there. 4 o'clock, you can go in there, you can get your favorite food, get your favorite beverage, watch the Wolfman's Call, watch the great people. Just like yesterday, we had legendary coach Bob Pruitt on. Just like on Thursday, we had legendary coach Steve Dunlap on. I mean, that's just the day in the last 2 days. And just like today, we got Hall of Famers on there with Darryl Prue, Alan Johnson, and author historian Frank Fear. I mean, it's just really cool. And one last thing before we go ahead and kick off the day with those guys, I want to go ahead and do this because Dale Sparks collection, man, this is important. And right there, Deuce, the Deuce McBride is coming. What up, man? How we doing? Are you there? Hello? Okay. Hello there, Frank Fear. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Wolf. We had a little glitch there, but we're back now.
Are we back now?
I can see you. I can hear you.
Okay, Al, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, sir.
In your background there, it looks a little bit wavy.
What's that?
It looks a little bit wavy. The background.
A little wavy near the ocean? No, I wish. I'm in West Central West Virginia, in Parkersburg.
West Central West Virginia, Parkersburg. Okay, very good. And let's see, Darryl Prue. I'm not sure. DP, how you doing, buddy? Are you there?
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, a little
Can you
bit.
hear me?
It's going to be tricky there. Yeah, you're having too much fun in Ocean City right now. Can you hear us? You know what? I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Okay, buddy, you're out of
I
here.
think I'm gonna sign out because it's bad on the too.
Look at that smile, though. We do appreciate your smile. Now get out of here. All right, very good. Okay, so Frank, I'm going to go ahead and put you on top here. And yesterday, you got booted, man, because we had head coach Bob Pruitt. He came on, and I had to do it. He could only do Monday. So the Frankfurt Hour on Monday got kicked back there to Tuesday. And, of course, Al's been in Vegas, like gambling a lot. How much money did you lose there, Coach?
What's that?
How much money did you lose?
I can't disclose that, Wolf. I'm sorry. Apologize.
That's all right. Obviously, it's something to do with taxes.
I broke even.
Okay. Well, you've been having fun. You've been skipping the show here, but obviously doing your job there for what you're supposed to do every day, besides having fun with us here. But all right, so Frank, let's go ahead. Let's talk about it. Well, what do we got for your column this week? Number one at the Sports Column. What are we doing?
We're doing a tour of the new Big 12 teams. Started with Central Florida, and we went on to Houston. And this week, it's, as you see on the screen, the Cincinnati Bearcats. And then next week, we'll do BYU. Then I'm getting raring to focus on Penn State and Pitt and look at some of the great games in the past with those two rivals. But today, it's Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's Cincinnati. Here's your column. It's a sports column. And if you just go ahead and Google the sports column, or it's www.thsportscol.com. So there you go. You got that all right. Here's your article. Is it out yet, or is it coming out after the show?
Pardon?
Is the article out yet, or is it coming out?
Oh, yeah, it's up. You can see the date. Actually, it's been up for a couple of days, July 19th. So just Google that at the sports column, and you can read it. And I'm going to draw from the article today and share some insights or thoughts, at least, from that article with the fans.
Okay, so here we go. Let's roll it. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I have to say, the great thing about doing research, you think you know a lot about stuff, and then you dig in. And I learned a lot more about UCF and Houston than I did before, and a lot more about Cincinnati. Next week it applies too. I've already done the work on that with BYU. Just to summarize for people who maybe weren't with us those previous times, with respect to University of Central Florida, I'm saying watch that school. It didn't exist until 1968, didn't start football until 1979, went through all the divisions, and now they're in the Big 12, second largest school in the country with over 70,000 students. It is an aggressive institution. They're not coming into the Big 12 just to be a satisfied member. They're a team to watch. And with Houston, sorry to say this, but it seems to me almost to be sort of the other side of the coin. As I talked last week, except for a few select years, I mean, when Bill Yeoman was there, he designed the Fear. They were great. They were in the Southwest Conference for a while. That was a major conference until it went kaput. And then, they had Tom Harmon for a couple of years when they were great. But I'll tell you, they don't draw fans. I've looked at their recruiting for next year. It's not so good. It's down at the bottom of the Big 12. And their defense, they really have to do a job to get that defense to be competitive.
All right. So let me ask you this before we keep going then, is how is it that West Virginia is ranked last behind Houston? Now, I know that they're 13th in the media poll. Al, you want to answer that question?
I'm still befuddled how the four teams coming in are ranked higher than West Virginia. I mean, it makes no sense. Hey, Frank, of the four teams, which team do you think, just in your approximation, which of the 4 teams is the best coming in?
I think it's Cincinnati. I think it's Cincinnati with a big question mark. I mean, they lost Luke Fickell to Wisconsin. That cat won 83% of his games in Cincinnati. He went to the college football playoff one year. They were just great under him. He had an uncanny ability to recruit kids in a state that's Ohio State wild. And they have I think it's really going to be a matter of whether or not they can shore up the run defense. They got a new quarterback coming in. He's a question mark. But I'll tell you what, Al, the biggest of all the question marks for Cincinnati is Scott Satterfield, their incoming coach. He's a new coach. He came from Louisville, where he was about 500, had a losing record in the ACC, Atlantic Coast Conference. He did a great job at Appalachian State, really knocked it out of the ballpark. And that's why he got the job offer at Louisville. I don't know, is Scott Satterfield a Power 5 coach the way that Luke Fickell was at Cincinnati, and now he's in the Power 5 at Wisconsin? That's the big question mark. Like Houston, they have a small facility, only seats about 35, 40,000, but unlike Houston, they fill it. I look on StubHub the other day. Their opening home game in the Big 12 is against Oklahoma. 200 smackaroos per ticket, secondary market.
Let me go ahead. Let me jump in here on this because I can vouch for when I used to play against Cincinnati as a Mountaineer, Al, and that's when you were coaching. And we used to go to Cincinnati Riverfront Stadium, and we would go there. And this is the Bearcats. There would be 5,000 people in the entire Riverfront Bengals Stadium there, and 4,900 were Mountaineer fans. And there's 100 Bearcat fans, and we blow them out, beat them 60 points. Now, take that when they came into the Big East, and they came back, well, that was a whole different story because they were competitive then, and they actually beat us a couple of times. And going into that right there, that stadium, even though it's small, Frank, it's really cool. It's right there in the heart of campus, and it's in downtown Cincy. I mean, it's, you're walking across and you're looking down, you're seeing the stadium. And once again, it can be a tough place to play if your head is not right. And I think some teams better watch themselves when they roll in there, because that 35 to 40,000 can get real tough on you if things start to go negative.
Yeah, boy. You go ahead, Al. You're right.
Hey, Frank, I was going to say, I mean, this, I mean, with what Luke Fickell was able to do there, I mean, he established a culture. I mean, you talk about tough, hard-nosed kids. I mean, the question will be, can Scott Satterfield, can he maintain or even elevate that culture in that respect? Because, I mean, the one thing about Luke Fickell, and I coached with him when I was at Ohio State, when I was on Tressel's staff. I mean, he is, I don't know if you guys know the background on Luke Fickell. He was a 3-time state champion wrestler, besides being an all-state football player in Ohio. I mean, but he is a tough, hard-nosed guy. The players, and the last couple of years I had a chance to meet the strength conditioning coach, speak at a couple clinics over there. The players love him. I mean, they love Fickell. And so that'll be something we'll see how that segues for Satterfield. Yeah,
you're absolutely correct. That is, and we don't know the answer because Louisville didn't work out the way that Appalachian State did. But the thing about it, Wolf, I'm thinking too about going way back. They didn't start football, major college football, until the late 40s, early 50s down there. They've always been in the shadow of Ohio State, even though I think UC is a great academic institution. But, we talk about Miami of Ohio as being the cradle of coaches with Bo Schembechler and others. Listen to this lineup. This goes way back to the 50s. Sid Gilman coached there. He was with the pros at San Diego when the Chargers were in San Diego. Tony Mason went on to coach Arizona. Mike Gottfried went on to coach Pitt in Kansas. You talked about being on the Ohio State staff, Al. Mark D'Antonio was the defensive coordinator at OSU with Tressel when that team won the national championship.
Yep.
Then he went to Cincinnati, did a great job at my school, one of my schools, Michigan State. Went to the college football playoff, won the Rose Bowl, won the Cotton Bowl, won the Big Ten 3 times, which is not easy to do at Michigan State. And he's on the College Football Hall of Fame ballot this year. And then you got Brian Kelly.
Yeah,
he was the coach for the longest of time when Cincinnati was in the Big East. Get this record: when they were in the Big East, UC won 10 or more games 5 times, claimed 4 sole or shared conference championships.
Wow.
One was with West Virginia. And at some point in those seasons from 2005 to 2012, they were in the top 25 every year except for 3, and they played in 6 bowl games. 2 of those under Kelly were in the New Year's 6 bowls, one the orange and the other the sugar. So this team is pedigree. We don't hear a lot about it. It played in the American Conference and other places before that. But I'll tell you what, I just think what it does, Al and Wolf, is just accentuates what you have said, Al. I think it comes down to Satterfield. Can he keep the tradition going?
Yeah. Well, and you know what's great too? I mean, look at what, now it's the new four new teams being in the Big 12. Cincinnati's the closest one in proximity to West Virginia. I mean, now that the closest home game was Iowa State, 880 miles one way away. I mean, at least our fan base can travel if and when we play at Cincinnati.
You know what? I hear that all the time. For crying out loud, you're right. It is 5.5 hours from Morgantown to Cincinnati. I made that trip a few times, and but you know what, man? This is the way I mean, Penn State. We bused to Penn State for 4 hours away. When at times we did that. Or we flew down to Virginia Tech, or the longest flight there is in the Big 12 is 3.5 hours that's Texas Tech. I mean, it's not like it's the killer. Now, basketball, that's a different story. Basketball, you're doing that 2 or 3 times a week. You're run down. You're trying to go to class. Football, that's a Friday shot and a Saturday back. That doesn't seem too much to me. But you're right, for the fans, Ale, thank God, because I'm tired of listening to fans say, all I want to do is go watch them. They don't care that they miss out on $40 million, but they don't care about that for the program. But they say, I just want to watch them play. I don't care about the Big 12. And that's my beef that I have, is that WVU would be in a dire situation right now. We're in a dire situation already financially, the shortfalls that we have. Can you imagine if we weren't raking in the $40 million? Can you imagine where our facilities would be? I mean, I could take you. I got this Texas Tech. They're putting in $200 million in the facilities. They already had nice facilities, and they're putting in $200 million. It's a war, and there's no way. If you want to win it, you got to be in it. And if you don't want to win it, then okay, get out and accept your losses, and don't complain when you suck, because that's what's going to happen. Don't complain with that. But if you want to be competitive, you have to play the game. I don't need to go off on you, Frank, but again, Cincinnati's in that boat, though. Because Cincinnati was trying to get in as well at the same time WVU was. And if you remember, WVU slipped in the Big 12, and it could have gone the other way. And right now, with it being what it is, can you imagine if we had not been in the Big 12 and receiving that money?
No, I mean, you're absolutely spot on. I was one who, ACC, and you look at what's happening now, and it's a whole different ballgame. Another thing that's about this is that, obviously none of us had a say in picking these schools. But let's look at this graph you have up there. If you could feature that. Yeah. I pulled this up, Al, and I think it's telling, because the question is, what do these schools bring? And this is one of 2 charts that Wolf is going to put up. What this basically is from 2 really good sources. It's not Wikipedia under football. It's called Winsipedia, which is an excellent source. And then the Sports Reference, there's a college basketball site there at Sports Reference, and a college football site. I love them both. So these are the schools in the Big Ten, ranked by where they fit in nationally in terms of number of wins, top 50, top 75, top 100, outside of the top 100 nationally. And if you look at what it says at the top, there are only 4 schools that are in the top 50 in both football and basketball in the Big 12, and 2 are leaving soon, Texas and Oklahoma. The 2 left are West Virginia and Cincinnati. You know, you look at football, there they are, UC 44th nationally. WVU is number 15 of major schools. And then you look at basketball, think back to the days of Oscar Robertson and the great Cincinnati teams when Jerry West was doing damage nationally. They're number 14 in terms of number of wins. They're a little bit ahead of WVU at 1846. But look at the other 2 that are new, both in football and basketball. Houston and UCF are both outside of the top 100. UCF has an excuse because they haven't been around that long. Houston, there's no excuse. They're 109 in football, and they're 123 in basketball. And if you look at the bottom, there are 4 schools that are in neither of those 4 schools, or none of those schools rather, are in the top 50 in football and basketball. Those are Baylor, Central Florida. Again, they have a reason. Houston, Iowa State, and Texas Tech. If you could put up the next one, then I'll stop talking after I go through it, because I think I want to make a point here. If you could put that up, Wolf, and then we'll open it up and talk. He's going to get it.
I'm getting it. Go ahead, keep talking, friend.
Yeah. Well, the point I make is, you know, every time I open up my Facebook page, I did today, that's it, I cringe. We got a new recruit for 24 named Chris Ash. He's out of Virginia. He's going to play a senior year down at IMG in Florida. And he was getting bashed. Why is WVU getting this guy? I watched films of this kid play in high school. He's small, 5'9", but he's shifty. And boy, can he find the end zone. We got to be more positive. Look at WVU. This is the all-time football wins, the all-time basketball wins. 15th in football, 23rd in basketball, and the only other school that's close is Texas. Actually, they're above us, but they're leading. They're number 5 in football and 16 in basketball. And there are only 4 schools altogether in the Big 12 that are in the top 50 in both sports. Cincinnati, Oklahoma, they're leaving. Texas, they're leaving, and West Virginia. I'm a great believer that fans need to get behind their teams. You can critique, and we do a lot of that on this show. And that's not criticism. It's simply saying, here's a standard, now are they measuring up? But this trash talk is doing the university no good, does our athletes no good, does our coaches no good, from my perspective. That's an opinion. These are data here. So WVU measures up really, really, really well. And Cincinnati, of the 4 newcomers, they line up the best. And that can't be debated because the numbers are the numbers. I'll stop.
Hey, Frank, look at BYU. That's a shocker that they're number 10 all-time in basketball wins.
Yeah, and I think, I'm glad you brought that up, because when I say, major college wins, only the Big Ten schools, the original Big Ten schools, and that doesn't include schools like Penn State, Michigan State, Nebraska, Maryland, none of those schools, Rutgers, the rest of those the original Big Ten schools started as major conferences. The rest of the schools migrated to major conference. So BYU got a lot of its wins, and it's still getting wins because, they were in the Mountain West before, and now they're in the West Coast Conference. They were in the West Coast Conference playing basketball. So a lot of those wins were coming against teams that are not Power 5, not Major 5, not major university. Same thing goes for West Virginia, but they still count. So yeah, number 10. And I would think with Lavelle Edwards and all, they won a national championship. We'll talk about this next week. They won a national championship when they were playing in the WAC. the Western Athletic Conference, they're only 64 because all of us alive back then know Lavelle Edwards, but BYU has had, like Houston, some ups and downs. But WVU, God bless the Mountaineers. Let's cheer them on.
Well, okay, I hear you, Frank. But now listen, you can sit there. Okay, so Baylor now 57 all time and 93 all time. But golly, they must be top 10 right now. Or 2 years ago, they won the Big 12, and what did they win the national title in basketball? I mean, you can go ahead and throw that around. You could take Oklahoma State in the last 10 years and what they've done with their basketball and football program. And look, I mean, you got Iowa State 84-102. They're not there anymore. Iowa State, right? Now, maybe Iowa State's just coming on with football the last 6 years, but basketball, we all know how hard it is to play at the Coliseum out there. So, 56-38 Oklahoma State, TCU, 131 in basketball.
But you're right, Wolf. You wouldn't want to play TCU right now. They're investing in basketball like they didn't before.
You're right. It is flipping, and that's good stuff, Frank. I really appreciate that.
Hey, Wolf, question for you, Aaron, Frank. Hey, why doesn't, and maybe is this information you're providing here as far as the Wikipedia, is this just now coming out? I mean, in terms of 15th and 23rd?
That's as of the end of last season in both basketball and football. Wikipedia updates their records at the end of each season. And also what I love about them is for every school, it shows you the composite record against every single school they played. For example, you can go on Wikipedia under West Virginia, and you can see how many times they played Waynesburg and how we did against Waynesburg. It's just a phenomenal source. It's free, and I use it all the time. It's a great source.
Hey, why aren't we, as Mountaineer Nation, why aren't we promoting this better? I mean, because, that kind of blows my mind to think that you're in the top 25 all time in wins in football and basketball, and it's relatively unknown. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Why isn't that put out there? And like you bring up another great point is the negative pounding we're taking on social media. I mean, the fans, if you're a recruit, and I'm sure recruits are going out and they're looking at the different platforms as far as social media, and they're seeing that your football and your basketball team is just getting bashed. I mean, that's got to affect your recruiting. You wonder what the motive is for the bash in terms of some of these supposedly reputable social media platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. I think fans have to understand that not only do they have a role, obviously, as fans, but they have influence. I mean, one of the folks who's watching the program today, Jackson, we were on a program last Friday with Joey, and one of the things Joey Foster asked me to do is, hey, give us the skinny on 2024 recruiting for West Virginia. I mean, that needs to be emphasized. West Virginia is number 3 with 19 recruits for 2024, third, and they're 36th in the country. Now, everybody's match, I just saw an article today. Who's going to be the next WV head coach? And is Rich Rod coming back? Fine. But the fact of the matter is, WVU is investing in football. They just got a new major person who's going to be director of scouting with pro background. They're 36th in the country for recruiting next year, 3rd in the Big 12. These are all facts. This bullshit that's being sprayed is opinion. It's just opinion. So
what you can say is an hypothesis, an educated opinion, an educated guess?
Yeah, you can. What I'm saying is, like I said today with this Chris Ash, these people are trashing him. And I said, hey, I looked at this guy's films. He's going to IMG. Losers don't go to IMG. He's going to IMG from Virginia. Give the guy a break. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Sorry, I don't mean, but Al's right. It's so thick. I can't
believe Frank Fair just dropped the bomb, man. The BS. Oh my gosh. Well, that just means, all right. Well, I understand exactly what you guys are talking about, and people are saying, "Well, Wolf, you're going ahead and you're saying these things about critiquing and saying, no, I'm saying these are the problems. I know coaching.
No, that's right.
I understand, and the fact that we're 36 and all that in recruiting, and we're doing good for next year. The history, the facts are, this coaching staff hasn't retained that talent that they brought in, and that's the facts, as you call them. And that's what they need to do better this year, because it doesn't matter what they do next year if they don't take care of business this year.
They got to win.
They got to win. And that's the way. So again, going back to that Penn State, and Penn State is not the measuring stick for this team, in my opinion. Okay, Penn State will be a measuring stick if they can show that they can compete. Okay, but it's not. If you lose, you lose. I'm not worried about wins and losses. I'm worried about how you go in there, how you play. What's your head like? Are you able to overcome certain difficulties that just the challenges of playing in Happy Valley give you? Again, as I'm telling you, it's a hard place to play for a reason, and they make it difficult. And for a team to go in there and to compete at a level of maybe not winning but being there at the end would be a huge, huge step forward, and should give Neil Brown huge kudos and credit for his own confidence in his team, and he could really build off of that. But it all depends. Now, if you go in there and you lay an egg, it's going to be tough, man, because then you got to go back against the Dukes, and the Dukes are not supposed to be. You're supposed to beat them, right? You're supposed to beat them. So then you got it. The next contest will be Pitt, and that really will be, to me, the deciding factor. Now, if you go ahead and if you're 1-2 and you lose to Penn State and Pitt, but man, you really think this team's getting better. I mean, that's a different story now. That's a different story than a 1-2 getting blown out and not even competing, and your team looks like they're at the end of the season instead of the beginning. What do you think about that? Now, go ahead. I mean, you got a lot of years of coaching on that.
Well, first of all, like you say, Penn State, though, I mean, one thing, regardless of the outcome at Penn State, you got to come out of there with some confidence. I mean, it's got to be a springboard. It's got to be, hey, it's, not saying you can't win, but you got to come out of there with confidence and feel good about yourself. But I still think that, not to overlook Duquesne, because Duquesne's only got to play us one time. They only got to beat us once. They don't have to play us 10 times. So I think any opponent is worth it. What's that?
Penn State.
There's no question. You're only playing them once. You're only playing them. Hey, people. What really annoys me as a fan is I'm tired of hearing what Penn State did last year. What were they, 11-2?
Yeah.
Well, this is a different team. This is a different culture team. This is a different dynamics of people made up. Sure, there's carryovers from that team, but that doesn't guarantee success. I mean, hey, yeah, you're playing at home, but I mean that doesn't guarantee nothing. You still got to play the game. What's great is you don't play the game on paper every week. And then the other thing, Pitt is still the measuring stick of success as far as your program, and it was for years and years and years, as was Virginia Tech, playing Virginia Tech year in, year out. But you got to come out fast and furious, and you got to make a statement. Me personally, I love being the underdog. I love being a coach and trying to poke the bear with your team and tell them that, hey, nobody loves you. The only people that love you are your family, your friends, and the people inside this program. That's the best. That's the best of all worlds. I mean, hey, I'm glad that we're not ranked in the middle of the pack. I'm glad we're not ranked in the top third or fourth of the conference, because you know what? Hey, the heat's on them. They know that, and you know what? We have enough players. We have the players if they come ready to play.
Yeah.
Well, hang on, Frank. I believe in all that, and I believe in circling the wagons, because nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Okay, but let's just say this: this team has an incredible opportunity to go ahead and take Kirk Herbstreit, make him wash his mouth with soap, whatever you want to do, slap it, whatever. I don't care what you want to do with it. But I mean, that's the thing. Kirk Herbstreit laughing at the Mountaineers. I mean, Pat McAfee, national TV. Hell, I'm sorry, man, but when I saw that, I didn't laugh. I mean, there's a whole legacy here of players, and you can take it back to the 40s and 50s, to the 60s and 70s, to Frank and his band of brothers, to our time in the 80s, and then on to Rich Rods and Coach Stews, and even Dana's teams, man. They all got pride. They all got toughness in them, and even up to Neil's here. So, again, is that right there is, yeah, I got a chip on my shoulder, but you better be more than just going to talk about it. You better be doing everything every day. Al used to bust my chops every single day in the weight room. Every single day. It wasn't like, hey, Wolf, you know what? You kicked it yesterday, man, so let's take it easy today. It wasn't. You started your score all over again. You started at 0 every single time we walked in that weight room. And I know Mike Joseph's doing the same thing with that, but the team's got to be mentally prepared. We grew as a team in our time there with Coach Neal. We grew. I don't know if these guys are afforded that time to grow, and that's the problem. Is logistically is, okay, not only how many safeties coaches have you had by transferring, or how many strength coaches have you had? What's their philosophy? Now I got this philosophy. Now I got that philosophy. My son Maverick went through it. I mean, there's a different strength coach at every turn. And again, I think that inhibits your ability to some degree. So again, I think is with this coaching staff, and not worried about Mike Joseph, not worried whatsoever. But what I'm saying with this coaching staff, they have to coach efficiently better with urgency is what I'm saying to get this team going, because they have not had the luxury of building a team from scratch. And they won't be. But again, this team, the way things are, the facts is like Frank says, the facts is that these are all newcomers in a lot of ways. And Lee Koba, who's a stud. Listen, Lee Koba's a dude, man. I don't care what anybody says, the linebacker. I'll be breaking him down with film. But at the same time, Lee Koba's only been here. This is his second year. I mean, he doesn't have that Mountaineer tradition ingrained in it. It's not his fault. And it's the system nowadays. But again, those are the facts that we're dealing with, and those are the realities. And so that's what I'm saying is when you sit there and you lose 17, 18 players, and you only bring 14 back, you're losing that consistency, that elderly, that wisdom, that knowledge, that Mountaineer knowledge. See, again, I think what I'm worried about is I want them to know Mountaineer knowledge. I don't care if they're fifth year Western Kentucky, play in Minnesota 1 year, and then they're coming here. Okay, that's good, and it's better than having a rookie, a freshman. Okay, but I want 3 years of Mountaineer knowledge. That's what I want, and that's what I'm hoping to see with these classes, Frank, that you talk about, is that Neil continues on, that he will go ahead and be able to sustain to some degree. You're going to lose kids every year. You're going to lose kids every year. That's just the way the system is now. But let's sustain what we can do and keep on it. For some reason, they were leaving. So you need to fix that reason why they were leaving. And it can't just be people doing this, because a lot of our guys went down. They went down. They didn't go up. Okay? Jordan Jefferson went to LSU. That's up. Okay? That's, SEC. You can look at a few guys. Very few guys have gone up or advanced themselves. So they've gone down. So there's a reason why. So that's what you got to fix. And getting that Mountaineer knowledge, man. And Al, Frank, you go way back to the 60s, man. And you were here. You were talking to Bobby Bowden, the recruits, and telling them about academically. Al, you were a strength coach here, man. You're right there where you grew up in Parkersburg, West Virginia. Your roots are there, man. I mean, you can feel yourself. You can feel it in your bones. And that's all I want to see at West Virginia, because then you got a fighting chance, man. And if they can understand that to some degree, then you really have an opportunity. And I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to leave it, Frank. I'm going to pass it to you. But I'm going to say with this, if you're a coach and you have that player's back, if Mike Jacobs had my back like he did, okay, there's not a darn thing I wouldn't do for him. There's no way you're talking about transfer portal any of that way if I know he's got my back, if I know he's looking out for me. I think that's the difference. You have to have a relationship where these players, coaches, players, develop a relationship. It's the only way you can overcome a transfer portal. Only way. You have no chance otherwise. Because all your top guys are going to get recruited out. I mean, Zach Zach Frazier was recruited by Alabama. People telling him, "Come on, get in the transfer portal. We're at Alabama. We'll give you $500,000." Right? I mean, that's the case. That's the deal. You're going to have that for your top dogs at West Virginia because Alabamas are going to be able to afford them. Frank, go ahead.
Oh, you're absolutely correct. I mean, to put it into sort of a soundbite, the Mountaineers have to live up to those numbers. Those are lofty numbers, 15 and 23, 15 in football. You got to live up to it. And I don't, I've just been blessed to be on this program. I've never heard criticism. It's all critique. It's all based on knowledge of the game, experience that you have, your guests have, and they're basically saying we got to live up to those numbers. The trash talking is coming from fans on social media, and I think Al's correct. That's the stuff that people watch, and we heard one of the guests the other day talking about, it's no surprise that a lot of coaches don't want their players to read the papers or to maintain social media, so that stuff is just not there. But what you've described, what you just said, Wolf, is passion, pure passion, and love for West Virginia. And HR is right. The schedule is brutal, but the fact of the matter is that we got to live. If you're gonna play the game, you got to play it the best you can, and let's live up to those numbers.
Hey, Wolf, real quick. Hey, Frank, that's a great point. You think about it too. I mean, how can you learn the tradition of the program if it's like a turnstile? If there's constant fluctuation and there's change, is the core of your team bought in, which hopefully they are. But if you got constant turnover, if you got 18 to 25 players a year that are entering the transfer portal because they think the grass is greener on the other side, or because they can't handle adversity and chaos and, hey, maybe we're not winning the way we should, but that's the hard part. I mean, how can you develop that tradition if you're only – I'm not going to single out anybody, but just in the last 12 months at West Virginia, you've had a couple of players that have been at 3 to 4 schools in 3 to 4 years. So how do they ever learn what the tradition of the program and really being invested in what's going on there? And then,
you're absolutely correct.
And then the second thing,
if the NC,
look at social media.
NCAA,
You guys are talking about social media. Hey, people posting. Let me throw this out to you guys. The people posting, are they really Mountaineer fans? Could they be Virginia? Could they be Virginia Tech or Pitt fans just trying to throw a wrench in the gears?
Well,
hey, I can tell you for true, being at Michigan State all these years, there are a lot of Michigan fans who troll Michigan State social media.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you one thing, Al, and Wolf and I were talking about earlier today. NCAA has done nothing to regulate this nil stuff and this transfer.
No.
But the proposal that just was put before Congress as in bill form last Thursday would reduce significantly the number of transfers. And so if the NCAA isn't going to do it and you turn to Congress, guess what? I've said this before. You've lost your right to control your own business, and Congress is going to regulate this, and you're not going to see players. I mean, Daniels, 4 schools now. You're not going to see that in the future.
Yeah. And what you say, Frank, if Congress has to step in, what happens when you have NCAA violations at a school and they come in, and one of the first things they look at is its lack of administrative control by the AD or the head coach if it happens on his watch. But the AD, it's right there, it's happened, and you just think that that's some of the possibilities of things that happen, that it happens on your watch and you've lost control of your program.
No, you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. That's why, what's interesting about it, Al, is who knows what's going to happen in Congress. And my understanding is that Joe Manchin and Tommy Tuberville, are going to propose something soon. But what is going to happen is if the bills that I've seen so far, there have been 2, they basically would take the investigation responsibility for this portal stuff away from the NCAA and give it to a board. And so they're going to cut this nonsense. You watch.
No, I think you're right, but at least they would actually kind of know because they kind of understand the system. But you got Mike Rounds here, and I thought this is funny.
Yeah.
Because this is you, Frank, as smart as you be feeding his kids all the BS about the team. Frank did not say BS, though. Just I would say that. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that stands for Bachelor of Science.
Yeah, I believe he pisses off the team and makes them mad as heck and takes their anger out of the team they're playing against. I'll tell you what, that is something else, man. And it's
Mike's got it. That's a great comment.
I'll tell you what, I'd go with it, man. I'd go with it. Let me see. Somebody just entered. Oh, it's Kenny. All right, Kenny. How you doing there, buddy? Are you there? Nope, he disappeared, so I'm not sure if he's there or not.
Hey, Wolf. Hey, yeah. Wolf. The one thing, though, think about this. Hey, how many times have you heard the pregame talk, the pregame speech? They go out and, run through a wall, run through a brick wall. The initial part of the game, you're coming out fast and furious. The question is which team can sustain the passion and the intensity for 60 minutes. That's the question. I mean, and that's the thing that if it's deep and it's embedded in your program and in your soul and in your culture, then that's something that hopefully you can sustain to continue for 60 minutes for 12 or 13 weeks.
But that's the difficulty, right? When you don't have that depth.
Yeah.
And you need, if you go back to any successful team West Virginia's had, it's been older guys with older guys. I mean, it's just the way we have been when we had success. We had 2 offensive lines rolling in 88. We had 2 defensive lines rolling in 88. I mean, Pat Marlette, one of the great defensive linemen of all time at WVU, one of the greats, up there, top echelon, right? He never started a game. Chris Parker always started. I mean, that's a guy that never started a game and played in for a year or two in the NFL and a year in the USFL when the USFL was a big deal. We remember that. So, I mean, again, the quality of guys that we had was always a big deal. Yeah. But we also had depth. And when you don't have depth and you don't have that mountain, it's almost like, when I grew up, I watched my brother Ronnie. Okay, I used to hang out. My dad was ill, so I'd hang out with Ronnie a lot at WVU. I mean, I hung out when I was like 10, 12 years old. I was hanging out with Joswiak. How great was that? Talk about a learning experience.
Oh, my God.
I mean, I was probably not the best people to be hanging out with when you're 12 years old at times. But so the learning experience was there. But I also knew what they taught just by their actions, by their movements, how they were Mountaineers. And again, without that, I think it's really tough. I think it's really, really tough. And I'm not saying I got the answer for you except to keep your people there. And the only way I know to keep your people there is by having a relationship. And that's still not going to cover it. It's still not going to, because some young men just want to play. Yeah. And they realize it, and whether they belong there or they don't belong there, if they're not playing, then that's not what they want to do. And for maybe an offensive lineman, maybe a defensive lineman, you can get away with that for a little bit because there's a little more development in there. But for the other skill positions, these guys want to play and play as soon as possible. And the problem is that when I'm looking at the NFL and the ultimate of ultimates, you still got the greatest athletes of all time. I'm watching the NFL greatest athletes of all time, and I don't see the best fundamentals. Now, some of them sure do, but again, you can say the overall product of fundamentals is down because they're not getting those fundamentals in junior high, in high school, in college, but they're supposed to just all of a sudden, they make those big hit tackles. They don't rep. I mean, how many times you see it in the NFL? It's the same thing. So again, I want to see a little bit of a throwback to some of the guys. Like I had Lutz out here last week. Sean Lutz, head coach of Great guy. Okay, and he says, you know what they do in practice? They still tackle. They still tackle once or twice a week, and they go in there, tackle, they go live. You know what I had? I had Mike Jacobs Jr. over there, golly, I'm gonna see. I just had him on the show, and he's gonna kill me. Over there in North Carolina.
Lenore Ryan.
Thank you. Yes, Lenore Ryan. Sorry, brother. But I had it over there because you know what he said they do? They tackle. They block. So at these Division II levels, they're still maintaining a lot of those fundamentals. And I'm seeing a little Division I. I'm seeing that go a little bit astray at times. It depends on the program. Alabama, Georgia, they still go live. They still go live. When you tell me that West Virginia can't go live, and you're saying because it's a long season, I don't buy it. If Alabama can go live, Georgia can go live, well, then West Virginia can go live. I mean, that's just the way it is. I don't care what they're saying. You know, if you're saying, well, we're going to lose out players, you don't get better unless you can go live. How do you move up on the charts if you can't tackle somebody live? Right. How do you move up in the charts if you can't block somebody live? How do you move up? How do you get that number one spot if you're all doing walkthroughs and jog-throughs? I mean, how do you get better? I don't know. I mean, that's the question we had last week with Freddie Boom and all them there last week. How do you get better if you can't prove yourself? Right. But you only got, what, 3 or 4 scrimmages in fall camp to go ahead and get it done?
15
rounds. So how important is that preseason depth chart? Oh, it's huge. It's huge. Because you have to go ahead and you got 4 or 5 opportunities to change it. And that's it. Spring ball. They still don't even scrimmage all that time, all that much. We used to say, remember what were our shirts? What did our white shirts say when we had it for spring ball? Remember?
I hit for 15 or
I made 20.
I hit for 20.
We had 25 practices, 25, and we hit for 20.
And you didn't get a T-shirt unless you practice all 20 practices.
Unless you hit all 20 practices, you couldn't get a T-shirt. You're darn right. And that's what I'm talking about with this whole thing is, you know, this whole football is you want to get good football. I'm breaking down this football, and I'm saying, look at this. Look at that. Well, no wonder why, because they don't practice it. It's not even the players' fault. And they're better athletes now than they were.
Yeah.
So, all right, Kenny, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, I thought I was waiting for him to come on.
Is that you talking, Kenny?
Yeah, it's me.
Give us what you got there.
I heard his dog.
Yeah, it was my dog. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Hey,
all right. I got a question for all you guys. Okay. A lot of these teams not really realizing that when you jump from like Group 5 to Power 5, that, you know, you come up in competition, that you're not going to struggle. You're going to have some hiccups because of transition time. And I do agree with that. Do y'all agree with that?
Yeah, I agree totally, Kenny. And the other thing you're going to see, and Wolf, I think, Frank, you guys could chime in, is that you're probably in all reality, are you going to have enough quality depth to be able to play it, to play it up at the next level? I mean, sure, you've got a backup, but is that backup as good as that backup at Oklahoma or Texas or wherever it may be? But the depth is a big question. Your first 11 may be able to compete, but once you get beyond the first 11 on each side of the ball, can you compete at a high level?
Yeah.
And
Kenny,
another thing they're going to have to get used to is the stadiums being full and going into hostile crowds, because a lot of that they don't have.
That's right. Now, Kenny, you're absolutely correct. And I always ask the question, when a question comes up, are there data you can draw from to help answer the question? Let's take University of Central Florida. Their record against Power 5 teams, what percentage of games have they won against Power 5 teams? We know they beat Florida in a bowl game. Tremendous to beat the state flagship university in a bowl game. UCF has won 20% of their past games against Power 5. So this thought that you're going to slide, it's an easy go from a Group of 5 to Power 5. It is not, for the reasons we've talked about. You're going to have to go into hostile stadiums. The other thing is only Cincinnati and Houston have had as a program experience in major conferences. Houston in the Southwest Conference, So their alumni who played back then had that experience. And the same thing with UC when they were in the Big East. At the time, that was a major BCS conference. And so BYU's a little different because the West is a whole different ball game from the Midwest. And Josh is right. It's about depth, size, speed, intelligence. That's not saying Group of Five, Division II, Division III isn't really good football, but it's a level. And so the Power Five is the highest level. That doesn't mean some of the teams in Power Fives, are all excellent. There are teams that really are bad. Let's face it, and have a tough time beating Mid-America schools. But the fact of the matter is, it's going to be a learning experience. That's why I think it's important to look at Satterfield. Is he a Power Five coach? We know he was a Group of Five coach and did very well. But his experience at Louisville, not so good. We'll have to see.
Well, I guess you might have to throw that around. Hang on, Kenny. You'd have to throw that around to Neil Brown.
Absolutely. It's the same thing. And again, see, I would argue what Dale just said is not a criticism, it's critique. He's taking an issue that he can analyze and raising a question or making a comment. And that to me is the different from what I'm seeing on social media where people are just trashing because they're frustrated. Got to elevate your game, fans.
You got that right. Go ahead, Kenny. You got anything else?
Yeah. See, like you were saying, coaches in the Power Five, what they got to adjust to is the timing, speed of the game. And that speed of the game's got to slow down for their players in order for them to be relevant. Oh. And if they don't have that speed down, then they're shooting their own self in the foot.
You don't want me to get going on that one, I'm telling you, because the worst thing you can do, Al, you go ahead and back me up on this or don't, because this is the truth. But the worst thing you can do is take guys that have come from FCS, okay? They're going there. You're not going to have too many Xavier Worthies for Texas out there. Two guys that are just track star specialists that are fastest people in the country. And then go ahead and throw them out there with their FCS or G5, and you're seeing this week after week. It doesn't work unless you have a plan, unless you reroute these receivers. You can't until you see that speed. You don't know that speed until you see the NFL and you see 11 guys just as fast as you, and you were the fastest dude in your college team. You don't understand that speed. That speed, everybody is fast, and adjusting to that is always difficult. Now, I'm saying these FCS guys can adjust to it, because we saw Charles Woods do that from Southern Illinois, and he went at corner and became a good cover Big 12 corner. All right? But, again, if you're going to go ahead and say, I'm going to take 10 of these dudes and make them part of major players on offense and defense, say 3 or 4 in each one, I think you're asking for too much to get those diamonds. There's only a couple of diamonds in the rough. There's only a couple. And I think if you're going out for 8 or 10, I think, and at least in a year, I think you're asking for too much. Now, that's my opinion, but the worst thing you can do is throw some young dude out there, some young guy, and against a dude that's as fast that they've never seen before, and then expect them to understand what's going to happen. Because until you've seen that speed, you don't know it. I'm telling you, you don't know it. I've been through it. I know it. I've been burnt. I've burnt. I mean, it's all phases I've been through. And I can understand. Al, you tell me. You're the coach for years.
Well, if there's no question, I mean, use the same analogy. A high school kid going to college. What's the thing that they ask you? They ask you, hey, what's the biggest difference, the jump from a high school to college? Speed, size, strength, intelligence, all those things. I mean, same thing. I'm going from an FCS school going to a Power 5. I mean, yeah, there may have been. I'm a corner. I'm a cornerback. I may see maybe 1, 2, 3 guys, maybe the entire season, FCS level, that's got some speed. Now in practice, I got 5 or 6 guys on my own team that can run fast. And in every game, there's 2 to 3 wide receivers on every team. So the adjustment is immense. So just because I was a local legend at my FCS or G5 school, I mean, it's an adjustment. It's a major adjustment. Some make it, some don't. Like you said, there's a couple gyms.
Yep, that's for sure. Let me tell you a story real quick. I think it's appropriate. We got all this hazing going on in Northwestern and all that stuff talking about it. We had our own hazing at West Virginia, and they called it Greenie Day. And a Greenie Day was you take all these incoming freshmen, which I was one. I was all USA, whatever. Well, I can't even remember what the thing was, but all New York State, all this, all that. And they light up, and my 240-pound can was a little light at the time. And Chris Parker, they said, hey, Wolf, all freshmen line up against these varsity guys. You remember that, Al? They called it Green, first day of pads. And you want to know what hazing is? Go ahead. Go and see where you're at now. Okay, that's your haze right there, man. Because it's a big eye opener, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just got my can kicked. And, because I'm going against men that are 22 years old. I mean, that's the hazing about it all. But that's the difference of what you had back then to what you got now, because if you do that now, you might run some of these kids off.
Yeah, but you're talking about things that are part of the game, though, Wolf. You're not talking about things in the shower. You're talking about things. I'm saying you're talking about things on the field. You got your pads on, and you're going through a gauntlet of getting hit. And the thing is, you bring up a great point. How many athletes today, I mean, would let themselves go through that gauntlet of getting hit and getting, going up physically against juniors and seniors, I'm saying, on the field. I mean, they have to in terms of drills one-on-one, but, today, and again, you go back to the other thing, we're not hitting as much. We're not tackling as much. We're not blocking as full speed. So then, it's all those intangibles.
Yep, there's no doubt. All I know is this: when there's it's 3rd and 1 on the goal line, and there's nobody on the ground on either side of the offense line, either defense, and they're all like running and trying to maneuver here. There's nobody on the ground. Something's not right fundamentally in the game of football. That's what I got to tell you, because back in the day, that was two opposites colliding, and it was a big collision, and people were laid out on the ground, and that's just the way it was. All right,
and the prime example of a player that has come in and had impact from the start, you have to look back at Carl Joseph. Carl Joseph, when he come in, he made impacts from the beginning. So that's hard to get those kind of diamonds in the rough.
Yeah, Carl, he was okay. He was all right. Thanks, Kenny. I got to go ahead and get the guys out. Carl Joseph was amazing. He was a physical player. He's a throwback to the old days. I watched him right there. I was coaching. I was on the staff, and he was absolutely phenomenal. In fact, if you want to know his story, I can remember the first time Texas came to play in Mountaineer Field, and it was third and short. And here's Carl. He's playing free safety. He's a freshman, and he met everything. He went right down that middle of that offensive line in Texas. The Texas Longhorns, those 6'6", 330-pound offensive linemen, he went right through them and made a tackle for loss. Absolutely fearless, Carl Joseph. All right, Kenny, thanks for your help, man. Thanks for your input. And I'm going to get going because I got to still break down a little bit of Nico and Garrett here. So, Frank, I'm going to give you. Oh, good job, Kenny. Take care, buddy.
You too.
All right, thanks. Go ahead, Frank. Finish up.
Well, I was going to say I really enjoy this conversation because, live up to those numbers, live up to the tradition. And it reminds me of what I heard over and over again from the band of brothers played 66 to 70. They said, we went into every game and gave it all we had. And if we lost, then we wanted them to know they had been in a football game. There's Jackson.
Let's get the wrong shirt on. Hey, Wolf, how can you let him wear that shirt on the show?
You know what, Al? I was gonna let the voice of Morgantown on here, and he canceled. So I don't know why he canceled. He asked to get out here. So
look at my shirt, voice of college football.
I'm gonna have to get that shirt one of these days.
Yeah. You know what? You're supposed to get the one with the WolfMan's call on it. Somebody's tried to steal a buck from
you. They screwed it up. Hey, Jackson, we're on Twitter together. I'll send you the link.
All right, man. Sounds good.
All right, well, Jackson, what do you got to say before I got to go and do some quarterback breakdown?
All right. Well, I got one thing to say. Well, the conversation at some point, if we see Neil Brown getting fired and West Virginia's looking for a new head coach, do you think West Virginia should be able to flex on the fact that they are 15th in all-time wins? Do you think that's going to help them get a really good coaching candidate?
No. I think it's absolutely about what's going on today. I mean, you can take your 15 wins. I mean, like I said, look at Baylor. They were 95th and 1/3, whatever they were, in football and basketball. That's not who they are now. So it's all about what's relative today. Frank, what do you say to that quickly?
I think it's whether WVU is a destination. I don't think where you are ranked makes all that. I agree with Wolf. I think there's another issue here we don't hardly ever talk about. The college athletics is a big business. It's a corporation. And we don't know what the total cost of the Huggins buyout's going to be. And I can't remember what the situation is, how much the university would owe Brown if he's let go after this year. We were talking about this the other night, Jackson. That's dead money. That's money that you got to pay, but there's no service being performed by the coaches. So the question becomes how much you can afford. But I'll tell you, West Virginia's they're laying some bucks on the line with this new director of scouting they brought in. I mean, that's going to cost some money. So they're serious. They'll get the best coach they can, but let's not quibble about the fact money is critical, and a really top-line coach is going to cost a lot of money. Otherwise, what you're doing is you're going to the Group of Five or Division II and giving someone who has potential a shot at the Power Five.
I'm a Division II guy right now. No, sorry, Lutzy, but not right now. Not ready to take over this program. We need a guy that's proven. You can't go through another 5 years of floundering. You can't have that. Not that I'm saying you will, because you might not, but you can't take that chance where the program is right now and all the things that are aligning. Remember, we are in a battle not only against other teams, but against ourselves and having success for when those conferences realign. Okay? They don't take teams that aren't successful when they're doing the realignment. They don't take teams that are picked last in the conference. They don't do that. When they're realigning, they want the good teams that are there. And as sure as heck, okay, it doesn't help. You say that the money is there, the coaches and the buyouts, and you're right. But I'm going to tell you something else. Last year, I saw a stadium that was half empty every time. And
I have a suggestion for a proven head coach.
What I'm saying is that if you don't fill that stadium, if you don't fill that up there, then you're not going to get the best opportunity because there's a lot of money. And then there's a whole economy in the whole state that's going to be suffered. Restaurants, hotel rooms, everything trickles down from the success of that team. And that's what I'm talking about. All right, go ahead, Jackson.
Sorry about that.
Don't worry about it. I'm fired up, brother. It's all right. That's what we do here.
I have a suggestion for a proven head coach. He was a former Power 5 head coach. He says he's retired, but I think he's just waiting for the right opportunity. Chris Peterson. Yep. In Washington.
You know what, though? He's West Coast, brother. I'm not sure about that. I'm thinking I need someone that's familiar with how West Virginia works. Someone that's familiar. When Dana Holgerson came in, you know what he said to me first thing? After about 2 months, he goes, Wolf, I feel like I'm in a fishbowl tank. I feel like I'm in a fishbowl tank. In Houston, he can hide. Okay, he can hide. He's happy down there. But in a fishbowl tank, he went ahead and said, I feel like everybody's just looking at me. Like Don Knotts in that old movie, the cartoon. See these big old eyes, fish eyes. Because everyone's focusing. It's a different bird at WVU. It's different. And Dana didn't like it. Dana did not like it, and I don't think Neil's liking it right now when the pressure's on against you. It's great when they love you. It's great when the honeymoon period is there. It's great when you have the support of the Mountaineers. But, man, if you go 5 years or 4 years and you haven't been winning, you're not liking that because it can turn on you real quick. Mountaineer fans are the best if you're winning. They're not so the best if you're losing. They demand more, and I understand that. We've all had to go up and down. We all had to do that. But Chris Peterson, good coach, great football mind. Not for me at West Virginia, but I won't make that call either. So, but I understand that's not a bad idea. But you're too national, man. You don't understand. You don't understand the West Virginia part of it. I think you really need someone that understands this area. Al, what do you say? You can finish it up.
I don't know.
You think I'm wrong?
I don't know if you can get a top. First of all, the finances. You're not going to be able to bring in a top level head coach. It's going to come from a large program. Second of all, I think now the university's in the situation West Virginia's in. They're looking for a coach at mid-major, an assistant at a top-level program to come in that's possibly an up-and-comer that they can afford financially. Because I think the whole thing is just like recruiting in football. You're looking for projection. I'm looking to see project what is the potential for this coach coming in. And I'm sure, with Coach Brown coming in from, was it Troy University, I'm sure, that the climb or the projection was such that he can make the change. And then this is the dynamics of recruiting at West Virginia are different from most places in the country. I mean, sure, you're in the Big 12, but we haven't been relevant in the Big 12. So that's going to be another thing. It's going to be tough. It's going to take a special person, a special coach to be able to come in here with all the obstacles. I mean, you're talking about small state. You're going to get very few kids, in the state that are going to be 4 stars, 5 stars that can come in and help you. It's possible, but it takes. I mean, look at the guy that did it for 21 years, and when he was here, Don Nealon, people took it for granted. Now you look back, I mean, geez, he's pretty daggone good. And by the way, Wolf, we would be remiss if you didn't mention that he's July 31st in Canton, Ohio. He's been inducted into the National High School Coaches Hall of Fame.
Well, that's why I brought you out here, Al.
Okay, sorry. Okay. I wonder what my purpose was. I wasn't sure, but I think it's going to be tough. But Jax, I think you can. I don't know. It's all about perception. But if you got that coach on a staff that wants challenges and wants to make a name for himself, this is the right place. I mean, obviously, look at Don Nealon, came here in 1980, and this program was down. And look what he did over the course of 21 years. Was it 17? What was it? 17 bowls in 21 years? That's not too bad, is it? It's not bad at all.
No, that's like what sucked is we didn't win a lot of them.
But I believe he had you guys fighting for a natty in '88
and '93 and '93
and '93
in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
There's no question. There's no question. And then too. What's a thing about this, real quick? Let me ask you a question, Jackson and Frank. Do you think the bowl system is watered down in terms of if I can get 5 to 6 wins, I can get in a bowl? I know you don't have as many teams that can qualify, but to me, I don't know about you guys. Will you guys flip a game on that's got a team that's 5-7 or 6-6? I don't know about you. Unless it's West Virginia, I'm probably not flipping the TV on.
I'll watch any ball game, honestly, but
yeah.
At the same time, it's kind of like the 5-7 team. I'm thinking, I hope you got a good reason for being here.
It's got to be for us. It's got to be Marshall or West Virginia. I'm not watching.
All right. Now we're going down.
Maybe Charles Huff. You can switch Charles Huff away from.
We're headed down. We're talking 5-7. We're not going there. Okay. So Jackson, thank you so much, brother.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
You got it.
Good seeing you again.
Good job.
Great seeing you.
All right.
Hey, Wolf. Hey, let me ask you a question. Are you ever going to have Charles Huff on here? Well, let's see what kind of juice, what kind of power you got. You're going to give him an opportunity.
Ooh, Charles Huff?
Yeah.
You're
hesitating. Marshall.
Yeah. I already put. I just had
Bob Pruitt.
Yeah, Coach Pruitt yesterday. Yeah.
But you're talking about. I'm talking about current Marshall. Current Marshall, not Coach Pruitt. Who had an unbelievable career. I'm talking about current Marshall.
Yeah, I'd have. I never heard anybody call him Charles Huff. I just Coach Huff. I was like Charles. Huff. I was like,
You know the one former Mountaineer you're missing that's at Marshall is Billy Lake.
I just said that.
Have you had him on the air?
No, you know why? Because I asked him, and he said, you got to go through the SID, and I haven't gone through that yet. So, hey, Coach Pruitt did not have SID approval.
That's right.
He had Elsie, his wife, gave approval. So we're all
managed.
All right, guys, listen, man. I'm still going to break down some film. I promised it, so I'm going to go ahead and do so. You guys we've been on for hour 20. Thank you so much, Coach Johnson, Frank Fear. Rocking and rolling. Great discussion today. People are still watching, so it didn't suck. Let's put it that way. All right, have a good day. And Frank, man, get that shirt that says Wolfman's Call on there.
Yeah, it's just too bad. It says West Virginia football, but it doesn't have Wolfman's Call. That's what I ordered.
Hey, Wolf, is that one of the perks of being on your show that you provide those for Frank and I?
No.
No, the problem
I paid for it.
You've always been cheap, Coach Johnson. So I'm gonna make sure you paid for one.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure you will. Double.
All right. Good. Take care, guys. Love you, man. I'll see you later.
Take care. Thanks, Wolf. Thanks, Frank. Good talking to you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Great seeing you.
All right. Wow, that was pretty good. Okay. Hope you enjoyed that one. Got to do a quick 30-second here commercial. You're probably saying, "Oh my gosh, you've been on the air for so long." Yes, we have been, and yes, we'll continue to do so. But I got to get Abby on here, get her on, and let's commercial.
Hi, I'm Abby Pearson from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and when I'm back home, you will find me at my local Parmar store.
We had that gold and blue pride at your local Parmar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Parmar app and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more. We are gold and blue proud, and we are Parmar stores.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
All right. Thank you very much, Abby. And let's go ahead. We're going to go up here to offense. And before I go ahead and do this, a couple of things I'm seeing on here. Mike Rollins saying Rich Rodriguez. Yeah, Rich Rodriguez can coach, man. Yes, he can. And he did a pretty good job there. They won their conference last year. Say Jacksonville State. I'll tell you this about Richie. I've known him since 1982. 1982, my brother Ronnie played with him and Richie. And, he was a tough guy. Tough guy. Walked on, did his thing. I remember when his first job at Glenville State, him and his wife Rita, they were out there and they were chucking the lines at Glenville State. They're chucking the lines. And that's where he came up with doing what he had to do. He was also my graduate assistant before that, for the head job at Glenville State, but he's been through a round, and I don't care what people say about him and, this and that. Dude can coach, all right? If you don't think he can coach, then you don't know much either about the game of football. But Rich can coach. I'm going to tell you this. What is he doing now? Jacksonville State, they have 5 games, middle of the week. It's either Tuesday night or Wednesday night, I can't remember, on national TV. This is Jacksonville State. This is a school that is just kind of moving up to Conference USA. This is a school that put in $190 million. West Virginia put in $55 million into their football facilities. Jacksonville State's put $190 million. That's a fact. As Frank Fear says, that's a fact. Alrighty, let's go ahead and let's see what we got here. This is the 4th series. We did 3 series yesterday now with Gigi and Nico. And let me go ahead and see if I can't get this up here on this one. And move this on up. There we go. And move it on up. See, this is just, you got to go step by step. Okay, let's take a look here. What do I see? I'm seeing up top, I see 2 up top. We got 20 personnel. You got a receiver down here at the bottom. And so it's 20. 2 backs, 3 wide receivers, running back, and Garrett Green is that quarterback. 4th series, the Oklahoma State game. And he says in motion once again. Easy play here. This is what I believe is a 3rd down. Now, this is not a bad play here. I like this. This is a good play for a young quarterback like Garrett Green to go ahead and get this to the receiver and go ahead. And the numbers are not bad. Now get up there. He pops it up. That's a good 1st down. That's a good 4-yard gain. All that is just that's built in. That's either zone, right? You heard Coach Pruitt say yesterday, he was doing this 20 years ago with Randy Moss. Zone, and then we're back to the bubble, and that's really what all that is. The screen, and it's a good gain, 1st and 4, not bad, nice call. Again, now we're at 2nd and 6. You got 4 yards. I like the motion. Watch again. Did they see Oklahoma State? They really are a man team, and you can see number 5 up top there behind the first down marker, the first down line, the L line, and he's going with the tight end. So you know they're in man coverage. It tells Garrett Green once again who they're in the pistol right here, because they're still under their 11 personnel. The H-back is the tight end, and they have 2 up top, 1 at the bottom. But look at the pistol. Now he's behind the quarterback. They call that the pistol formation. And I love it. I love the pistol because if you're going to go shotgun, if you're going to do it all the time, which I don't like doing all the time. I like moving it back and forth and adjusting because it screws up the defense, and they have to do it with their timing and prepare for that. But if you're going to do that, at least the running back has a downhill angle. That's what the pistol affords, that he's getting 5 yards to go ahead and find that hole. Kind of like the old eye right there. Motion again. You're seeing it. There you go. All that is guard, H counter to the running back. Not a bad call there. You know, sometimes I talk about it, you know, you can't RPO everything. And sometimes, and Dana Holgerson used to tell me this all the time. I'm trying to tell you, when he went 10-2 that year with Skylar Howard, he used to tell me, say, you know, well, sometimes you got to be able to run it even when the numbers aren't there for you. And that's the hard edge that team had, that offensive line had. I'll never forget that. It was a learning lesson for me as my knowledge grew here. So, again, now it's 3rd and short. Oh, if this doesn't drive me absolutely bonkers, get up there, line up, and get in, and go ahead and watch this right there. Oh, come on. We're going east and west. East and west instead of north and south on 3rd and 2. You're in a shotgun anyway, so you're already 5 yards. This is what Oklahoma State does. They're penetrating defense. Either they get you for a tackle for a loss, or you get a big play on them, and that's what you see here. Again, let's watch it. I just keep running back. Okay, again, let's look at the numbers. How many are in the box? Now, I said sometimes you got to go numbers, right? And you have 5 on the offensive line. You got the tight end and an H-back spot, a 1-by-1 off the hip, and then you got 2 running backs right there in a shotgun. This is not what I count as a 3rd and 2 formation or strength. And when you see here, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you got a top safety at 7 yards right there. That makes 8 in the box. Okay, this is what's going to happen, and you're going sideways. Don't like the call. Don't like it. I think it puts your team at a disadvantage. Maybe you could go ahead and look at this here from the back end zone. You can see why Milam's taking a bad angle on the linebacker, but because they're going east and west, and they're coming north and south, and it's just bad angles altogether on the offensive line. They're not picking up. They're not pushing. You can see Nestor there. He's trying to get around the center, and Frazier in the left guard, and he's not getting any push, so there's just a big hole there. And right here, I'll tell you one thing. I wouldn't mind it if Garrett Green would have kept that ball right there, because who's he's reading? He's reading who? He's reading the backer on here. So, again, that may not have been a bad right here. When you look at this, the defensive end right there, you can see Garrett Green. He's looking right at him. That defensive end is closing down on the tackle. And I'll tell you, may have been right up. I don't know. He might have had a shot. I wouldn't give him a negative for that, but I would say you might want to think about that, because going east and west here isn't working. Not working. Again, he's got a crack there. That defensive end, he went right on down. Garrett was looking right at it. Had a shot. All right. Let's go ahead. So that ends that series right there. And we're going to go ahead and wait for the next series to come on up. And waiting. And here we go. Okay. And we're seeing it's still Garrett. And you're looking here at 20 personnel. You got the H-back is really, I mean, you could call it 11 personnel, but it's a 20 formation, because it looks like a fullback spot. There were 2 running backs right there in the backfield, but it still is there. And again, handing the ball off. Not bad there by Tony. You can see how I don't mind this at all. I like to see a little more drive coming off the ball on the offensive line. But with Frazier in there, he usually makes a hole somewhere in the middle. A big Nestor, they usually do a decent job. Now you're at 6 right here. So let's go ahead. Now we got sail away, motion from the running back. What's he doing? He's looking at the draw. Now the draw is going to work here. But when you watch Garrett, and we're talking about breaking down Garrett Green, I see 2 things from him the most in this game plan. And maybe this is the game plan, but I'm seeing the quarterback draw, which we used to run a lot with Major Harris. Pat White ran a lot of that, the quarterback draw, because it puts it makes him an effective runner, adds to the numbers in the box, and the slant pass. And those 2 things, I think, is where Garrett's really got to go ahead and make a move as a pocket passer. Really good on the outside. Really good when he rolls out. Really good. Actually, not too bad. I should say really good. Not too bad when he's doing the slant, when he has that crease there. But I think when it goes back, pocket, he has problems at 5'10 and a half. All right, so again, he has to improve on being able to be more of a pocket passer, because you can only do so much running outside the pocket, only so much at a one-trick pony being quarterback draw. Although at Oklahoma State, it worked. You go against Penn State there, I don't think you're going to be able to do a quarterback draw in one half that Garrett did it like 5 or 6 times. But we'll see it. But this is here. This is good. Good job, Garrett Green right here. He goes ahead and he gets the first down. You can see this. There's 6 in the box. Not a bad call. You have 5 in offensive linemen, and you have Tony Mathis there also blocking. So that makes it 6. And then Garrett Green as the runner, that's 7. So 7 against 6. That's not bad numbers when you're talking about this play. And it's a good job, and he gets the first down. I like it. All right, so 1st and 10 right now. Garrett Green, he's on the 33-yard line. And what are we going to see? You're going to see, right, you're going to see fly 2, the motion, with Mathis running back. It's a double. It's 2x2. And you're going to see Garrett. Now, you count back here 3 seconds. When I talk about this, okay, he's got to be able to get the ball off. And pocket passing is what I really want to see this year, him really improve his game. Because I think that's what lacks. It makes him a one-trick pony when you just have one option to throw, or then you got to roll outside the pocket where his comfort zone is. He's really good on the move. And he wants to always take it just quick. It's 3 seconds, get rid of it. 4 seconds, you're hanging on the ball after 4 seconds. That's a problem. It's a problem. Again, there we go. Now we got the pistol look with Tony behind the quarterback with Gigi. You got 1-by-1 hip, and you're looking here at 2 receivers here at the bottom. All right? So let's go ahead. Let's watch the play. Again, now he's going to hand it off there, and I'm not crazy about this. Not crazy about it. The numbers right there, I'm looking at it. You got 6. Okay, it's right there. But you also see 7 with the safety. He's playing low. He's playing 7 yards deep. You might want to think about going somewhere else, but I'm not saying that's a bad call. It's not a bad call, but I'd be thinking about where could I go ahead and try to be more effective on the field. It's called run-pass option. It's called, you got the bubble zone. It's called, there's a lot of things you can do. You can check out of it. Okay, a little more experience. But that's what happens when you're young and in the game and wisdom. And again, you're looking right here at this. You see the offensive line. Garrett, he's dropping back, so you're over 4 seconds right here. Now, he's going to roll. And this is what happens here. And golly, I'll tell you what I can't stand is this doggone defenses. They have no outside contain. They don't even try for outside contain. But Garrett does a nice thing here. He does roll out. I think he rolls out too quickly. I would like to see him and then throw it here to the tight end. But he's going to go ahead and run it. Now, he likes to run, and he does a good job of running because he's a pretty good athlete. And unfortunately, this call is going to come back because of a holding call. The problem is that the offensive line thinks that Garrett Green's setting up in a pocket pass, which is you see him doing right here. Garrett Green wants to roll a little bit too quickly. He needs to be more secure in the pocket. That's what I keep saying. Not just a slant pass, one option, not just a screen pass guy. He needs to be able to go ahead and go through his progressions in the pocket. And that's really what he needs to build his strength on. And, hopefully that's what he has been doing as he looks here. But it's tough when you always want to run and you always want to roll out when it's easy to go ahead and trust your legs because your legs have always taken care of you. But now you got to trust your arm and do the things that quarterbacks do. If you want to, because guess what? When you can only use your legs to run, or your first option as a receiver, or you run as a defensive coordinator in defense, I can really focus on that. I can focus on that and break that down and prepare for you and prepare the defense for you. So again, I think if he improves in his pocket passing is crucial for him as development as a quarterback. Again, but what are you gonna do when he's running right there? It sure does look pretty right there, right? Sure does look pretty. We got a holding call on Nestor. I would say it's a good call because Nestor gets out there and they're actually the call's on Nestor. Nestor's trying to help out his buddy Jaquay there. Jaquay's the one that lets him through, but you're going to see that he's going to roll out and they think he's behind him. Whatever, arm out. They're going to call that anyways. Probably would have made a difference anyways. Garrett would have run by him, but a referee, you can see him right there. If he sees that, he's calling it. Okay, now here we are, 2 by 2. We got gun strong, and here's the screen. Now this is not bad, but what I didn't like here was the receiver, and he didn't have patience for Zach Frazier and his offensive lineman to go ahead and block for him. Or that's Big Nestor. That's who it is. Okay, so what you see here, he goes outside. Have patience. You had a whole alleyway there, man. Have that patience for that screen to set up. This could have been, look how far down he could have got. He could have got another 10 yards at least if he would have just waited for the block and then gone behind the blocker and through his back. If you look at it, it's a third down situation. It's long. But again, if you really look at this, and it's a good throw by Garrett Green, the screen. Look at the offensive lineman setup. Look at the blocking. Look at the receiver up top. He's screened off the Oklahoma State defender. Again, look at the receiver right now with the ball. He's got 3 guys in white and 1 guy in black ahead of him. Have patience, man. Have patience. Don't go outside. Go right up your trust your offensive linemen. They got big butts out there. Very big. Very good. Justin, go ahead. Not bad. There you go. Oh, get up the field. Get behind him. Not bad. Not bad. But again, here we go. Another series coming up. This is still Garrett Green. We're still in the first quarter. And let's see what we got here. So now we got like 5 in the box. One guy, see this guy here, right around here? He is straggling the box. I call him a halfer. He doesn't know if he wants to be half in, half out. What he's trying to do is fool Garrett Green and play some games. But what he's doing, going to motion, we're going to shift over the defense, that is. And you're going to see what happened. Obviously, the shift has gone over, and they're moving to the strength. And there's Garrett again. And now he's looking for what? This is the slant. This is what he has been doing. This is what defenses do. This is what coordinators understand. He loves the slant. And he's not bad at slant, but look, it's a pick. Okay, they got the safety right there waiting behind. It's not accurate. Now, I told you yesterday, okay, the 2 things that I really wanted to see Garrett improve on. Number 1 was his accuracy. His accuracy is 55%. That's got to get better. If you want to win more than 6 games, you got to be better than 55%. And that's what he was last year. That's where he's been every time I've seen him play. And that goes back with being a pocket passer, having patience in the pocket to wait. It's not easy. Don't think I'm putting him down. I am not putting him down. I'm telling you, this is how you are as successful as a quarterback. And that's what he has to work on. Again, he does a lot of really good things. Again here, now he's sitting back here. This is not great here. His accuracy here is up top. It's interception. It's a pick. We'll see it. Let it run. But right here. Now, again, when you're seeing this right here, it's tough when you're 5'10 and a half. When you got big Wyatt Milam right in front of you there trying to throw, and you better hope you have those creases. The reason why Doug Flutie was so good, or Drew Brees, is they always knew how to throw through the creases. right there through the windows. I call them the windows that an offensive line provides. And they had a knack for that. And you got to have a knack. If you got height challenges as a quarterback, you got to have a knack to be able to do that. And at times Garrett does, and at other times you see where that interferes with his accuracy. And that's just a straight out truth. Right there, it's a high ball. High ball, it's a pick. Good. Not going to go ahead. I'm not going negative, but that you got to be better with accuracy. That's a one-time series here. So coming up here, the quarter in the second quarter, and the series continues with Garrett in there. Now, Nico has been in for one series only. Remember, Garrett gets hurt in the first series of the third quarter. So we'll get to that tomorrow for any more Nico stuff. But this is all about Garrett because Garrett, again, if he's going to be that quarterback, he needs to be effective. And he needs to do this. And he also needs to know how to run this team and to hit with experience and knowing, hey, should I hand the ball off? Should I read that defensive end? Or should I go ahead and put in that bubble screen when we have numbers to the outside? And I think that is another part of him where he needs to grow. Look at the bottom here. Look at this bottom right here. You got three. You have one defender out here. You have one. You have a second one back here. What is it? 13 yards back. But now you got three. Now, I don't mind the handoff. I'm going to be honest with you because the box, Oklahoma State, the way they play, I don't understand the way Oklahoma State plays, and this is why they give up so many big plays because they're not fundamentally sound. Just like that pass where they don't even care about outside contain, where you saw GG roll around and ran for 50 yards. 50 yards, right? If it wasn't for a holding call, that would have been a huge play for the Mountaineers. But again, look at this here. Number 3-1. I want to know what's your decision over here because this is a zone play. All it is zone bubble. That's built in. Zone bubble. And unless the coaches told him not to do it. But again, look at the numbers. 3-1. 3-1. What can you do out here? And, TM gets in there. Not a bad. He gets 6 yards. That's a good play. I'm not going to put him down there. 2nd and 4. There's 4:20 left in the second quarter. And they go a little bit of hurry up. Now, let's go ahead. Now, they got empty backfield. Remember, there's no backs in there. They call it empty, right? And you got 3 here outside the numbers, the boundary, and 2 over here. You got empty right there, personnel. It's 0. And looking over here at defense, you have 2 over there. You're outnumbered them. What are you going to do? So you're going to get them all to move. And what do? You go back to the quarterback draw. And it's not bad here. But if you keep going back to it, this is the second quarter now. He had success. Remember, he had the touchdown on that quarterback draw. That was a 35-yard touchdown. That was a good play. But if you keep going back to it, they got to keep seeing it. And the more times they see it, and it's more of I'm not going to say it's not a trick play, but it's more of a decisive way of evading because it's spread out. But it's not a pounding play where you're pound. It's a draw. You're influencing the defense. And coming up, so you see him here. Again, now you're looking at they're starting to have a guy in the middle, the linebacker, the spy. So he gets yardage there, good yardage. But again, they're starting to recognize it. Look at the play again. Let's just keep moving here. And quarterback draw. I gets the first down. All right, I'm not complaining, but you'll see later on in this quarter here that they keep trying to go to it. Now, there is the zone play. Again, I want to see Garrett being able to keep it. The guy can run. We already know he can run. I want to see him take this ball. Now, that's not a good job. He should hand that ball off because he's reading the defensive end. That's a good play by Garrett there. But I do want to see him run the ball more on the zone reads. But that's a good play. Okay, you're not getting a check there. That's not bad. Okay, again, now we have Strong to the field, trips up top, and running back is a Strong gun. And here you go again. This is 2 plays later. 2 plays later. You got to do more than slant, and you got to do more than draw. It's got to do more than draw. This is 2nd down, and here he goes. You got to be able to do more than this. And again, they start to see it. They start to recognize it. And there you go. So, that being said, that's why I want to see him develop into that pocket passer. He can do the screens. He can do the slants for the most part. A little better accuracy with that, but he can do all that. He can roll out. He can make plays. He can be exciting, but you got to be consistent, and you got to be in the pocket, and you got to be able to throw curls. You got to be able to throw outs. Okay, and that's what I'm saying. This is where I want to see Garrett Green grow. Right there. Now look, he's rolling out of the pocket. I can see that he's being pressured, and that's not so bad there. And what he's going to do here is he's going to throw down. Now he gets bailed out of this. This is a good call on the defense for interference. So I mean, it's a legit call. But I'd rather see Garrett throw to Tony Mathis over here running. He's free. There's what Tony could do there instead of taking this chance up here. But I'm not gonna penalize him for that. But that's a good call on interference, as you see. I want to showcase that. Sam James got tied up, and he's out and about. This is not the play I was talking about for rolling out. He should have rolled out there. He was forced to. I would have liked to seen that right there with Tony Mathis and not with the guy on top of the receiver, Sam James. Okay, so now we're 1st and 10. That was an interference call, good call. And it's 1st and 10, 2:38 left in the second quarter. You're going to see here, this is what, right there is just a play action pass. That's what it is. And it comes up, it's dropping here, and watch his accuracy. Okay. He's got a guy that comes up in his face at the end, and he's tough. No one's going to question Garrett Green being tough, okay, because that's a tough player. But his pocket passing is not there, and I don't want to keep harping on it because he did eat it right there, and that's not fun to do. And again, we'll see this here, and we'll throw it out. Now, it gets knocked down. So here we are at all this time of the passing. If there's been a problem with the pass, it's been inaccurate. If there's been a problem with the pass, it's been knocked down, or interference on the defense. But you see here, Garrett's going to get the ball knocked down. And that can happen to anybody, but it happens more when you're a shorter quarterback. Again, what did I talk about? I talked about those windows, getting those windows on there because it's so important to be able to break through it. Again, you can be successful at that quarterback height in the pocket. You can be successful, but you got to know how to work the windows, just like Drew Brees, just like Doug Flutie. Only problem is there's only been a couple of them along the way. Again, ball gets knocked down. Okay, remember, it's also wet and cold, and it's rainy, and it's crappy, and, there's not a lot of people in the stands. And they're not too excited. So it's 3rd and 10. I think this is going to be a play, another pocket pass right here. And when everybody jumped on my back when they threw that trick play in the spring game, and I said, well, I really would have liked to see that 3rd and 10. I would have liked to see Garrett Green, go through his progressions as a pocket passer. But instead, the spring game, everybody's like, oh, it's a spring game. Let's have fun in the first quarter, and let's throw a trick play to Garrett Green so he can go score a touchdown. That ain't going to help you against Penn State. And that's why everybody's saying, Wolf, you're being kind of a tightwad right there. It's not going to help you. Truth is, it's not going to help you. This is what he needs. 3rd and 10, 2:28 left in the second quarter. You're on the 32-yard line. This is pressure. This is learning. Every repetition counts. That's what I'm talking about, Penn State. Every repetition. Not a trick play in the first quarter. I want a 3rd and 10. It was a 3rd and 10, and he could have gone through a progression in the pocket. But you did a trick play right here. Again, this is what I want to see. I want to see up here, he's making a change. He sees it. All right. Go ahead. He's making the play call. And here he goes. He's in the corner. He's in the pocket once again. And the ball goes flying. Ball goes sailing. And accuracy, pocket passing, is it you have to throw over an offensive lineman because you're shorter than them? I don't know. Find that range. Get better. And I'm sure that's what he's been focusing on here. And that is the end of the first half. So tomorrow, after Duck Riley gets off, and Sean Martin, remember, Sean Martin is coming out as well tomorrow. And the defensive end, David Duck Riley, remember he was a receiver in the 70s. Well, that's Sean's grandfather. And Duck is a fantastic Mountaineer, always has been. And that's why Sean is there and a great Mountaineer. never going to hear about that young man transferring. That's, according to his grandpa, that's not what they do. So, again, let's go ahead and talk about this with what we have tomorrow. We got David Duck Riley. We have Sean Martin tomorrow. We're going to break down more Nico tomorrow as well. It's been a little bit long here with Frank and Al and all the guys that came on with Kenny and Jackson. So it's good. This is the way it's going to be. But we go for during the football season because we're going to be breaking down a lot of stuff. And don't forget about, with the network there with the Voice of College Football. And we're going to be having every P5, every Power 5 is going to come in once a week here to WolfMan's Call and update us. They're all professionals. That's what I love. That's why you get the Voice of College Football is the #1 rated YouTube football coverage provider. It's Mark Rogers TV. And there's 26, I think, channels all over the country and bringing in these professionals to cover their sports. I handle WVU for them, and there's other guys that handle them as well. But I'm going to be having all these other guys like Clemson come in, ACC. Tell us about the ACC. Every week we're going to be doing this. Every week we'll be doing the MEC Division II here in West Virginia. Hey, we're going to be talking, Marshall. We're going to break down college football. I'm always focusing on the Mountaineers. Always focusing on the Mountaineers. But we got 2 hours to get to it. We're going to have all different kinds of stuff. I want you to learn. I want you to become educated in football as best you can. And it helps me. It keeps me sharp. It helps me improve. Talking to Coach Pruitt yesterday, man, boy, I tell you, I learned a lot there. Talking to Coach Dunlap on Thursday. All the great players that I brought in, all the great coaches, all the people with so much knowledge. Frank Fear, man, I tell you what, he knows just about everything, I think. And Al Johnson, Hall of Fame strength and conditioning. It's what you get here at the WolfMan's Call. Now we have the WolfMan's Call Network, man, and all these great establishments. And just we love it, Brickside Bar, Rob Davis, man, down there, 30 taps down there. Incredible. You go up to Steve Reese, he's got the Mason Jar Barbecue and More. My goodness, you see some of that meat there. And he's got the Mason Jar Saloon and Hotspot in Morgantown. So it's Fairmont, Morgantown. And you think about Kegler's, Jerry the Wrens, and Mel over there with the Tap House, the Mountaineer Tap House. And it's all Morgantown, and Aaron Gizzy, Legend Sports Bar and Grille. These are fantastic. You saw the video. In fact, I think I'm going to play the video one more time, and then I'm going to release it out later tonight. But I think it's important. I think it's important we support. We got Archies came on board right up there in Pittsburgh, man, and East Carson Street, woo, right up there. Got the enemy, stick it to them. Charge the castle, storm the gates, right up there, the evil empire. And you got Route 22. What a cool place that looks like with their 1250-inch screen TVs. They're huge, and they got so much going on. And golly, I hope I don't forget about Jimbo's place. The two of them. They're in Elkins and Buchanan. I mean, it's just so cool. We thank all you people, man. It's just so good. Such good people. Teays Valley, the Pallet. Man, make sure you tip those servers, right? Audrey, Haley, all that. And all this. So let's just go ahead and finish out right now. And this is really cool. I really like this. I hope you enjoy it. It means a lot to me.
Born wild in a world that wants to tame me. You can't catch me on the run, cause I'm gone, yeah. I blaze trails, set fire to what's behind me. No, I'm never looking back, I'm on the run. I could only ever be what I'm made to be. Feels good when I'm living on the edge. Watch me now, roll like thunder, gonna shake the ground. Can't stop me now, I don't give up and I won't back down. I'm a force of nature, can't be contained. I got lightning running all through my veins. Watch me now, watch me now. when I'm in the face of danger. Bring the pressure, but I'm gonna rise above, yeah. Bet the house and I'll take that wager. They say you know a legend when you see one. Watch me now, roll like thunder, gonna shake the ground. Can't stop me now, I don't give up and I won't back down. I'm a force of nature, can't be contained. I got lightning running all through my veins. Watch me now, watch me now.
WolfMan's call. Boom! Oh, yeah. All right, folks. It's been real. Tomorrow, David Duck Riley, Sean Martin, and let's go ahead and close it off. Thank you so much for everybody joining me today. It was a great day, great conversations, and we look to have so many more. Have a great night.
Hi, I'm Traylon Davis. I'm from Jackson, Ohio, and when I'm back home, you will find me at my local Parmar store.
We had that gold and blue pride at your local Parmar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Parmar app and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Parmar stores.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
Stationers, #1 office supplier in West Virginia. Always in stock. How many? The anywhere, anytime chargers, powering a connected world. Never buy AA batteries again. Rechargeable 500 times plus. Paul Mini AA USB lithium battery. As easy to charge as your cell phone. Sustainable energy. Stay charged. Go green, save green. Feel the power of Paul. Order now at paulmini.com.